Okay. So the last video we were kind of talking about how multiplication and division are related. So now we're actually going to get into the act of dividing. Okay. So we have this problem 515 divided by 5. Well, I'm going to draw this huge box and I know it's a 3-digit number, so I'm going to divide it into 3 groups. Okay. And then I'm going to put the divisor out here and the dividend in each of these. Think of these as place value holders. Okay. You have hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to treat each of these as their own individual number. So looking at 5, how many times does 5 go into 5? Well, one time. So I'm going to put a 1 at the top. And then I'm going to be like, okay, 1 times 5 equals 5. So I'm going to subtract 5, and that gives me 0. Well, then all I'm going to do is carry this 0 over, put it in front of the 1. So whatever answer I get here, I'm going to put in front of this number. So now I have 5. How many times does 5 go into 1? Well, it can't. So it's 0 times. So up here, I'm going to write a 0. 0 times 5 is 0. And I have 1 left over. Well, I got to carry my 1 over, put it here. So then that leaves me with 15. So now I look at my 5. How many times does 5 go into 15? Well, let's think about our multiplication facts. You have 5, 10, 15. That's 3 times. 5 goes into 15 3 times. And 3 times 5 equals 15. I'm going to subtract 15 and I get 0. I have no remainders left over. But look what I've been left up at the top. I have my answer. So 515 divided by 5 equals 103. Okay, let's try another problem. All right. So we have 463 divided by 3. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my box. And at this time, I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you don't have it already, make sure you have something to write on, draw with, or draw on so you can practice along with me in this, okay? So let me try to focus this again. I'm so sorry. There we go. All right. So I'm going to draw my large box. And it doesn't really matter how long it is, how large it is, just large enough that you can fit numbers inside of it. And then I'm going to set it up. So I'm going to put the dividend in here in the separate boxes. So the 463. And then I'm going to put my divisor out on the outside. 3. All right. So let's go ahead and work through this. How many times does 3 go into 4? Well, looks like it goes in one time. Okay, so one time. 1 times 3 is 3. So I'm going to subtract 3, and that gives me 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry my 1 over to the next place. So I'm going to have my 1 here. So now I've got to think, how many times does 3 go into 16? Well, if I know my multiplication facts, I know that 3 times 6 is 18, but that's over 16. Well, I do know that 3 times 4 is 12, and if I add 3 more, that's 15. So that's 5. With my multiplication facts, I know that 3 times 5 gives me 15. So you have to find what number times this number goes into this number without going over. Okay, so let's try it out. Say 3 times 5 gives me 15. So 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, I'm going to subtract 15. And that again leaves me with 1. Well, got to carry my 1 over to 13. Now, how many times can 3 go into 13? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12, and that's 1 under 13. But 3 times 5 is 15, and that's too much. So I know that 3 goes into 13 4 times without going over. And 4 times 3 is 12. And then I have a 1 here. Well, I can't do anything with this 1. So it becomes a remainder, also shown as R, and then the number. So my answer to this division problem is 154 remainder 1. So 154 remainder 1. The 1 is what I have left over. It doesn't go into a hole. I have no more numbers over here. So I just have to have it as my remainder. Okay, let's try another problem. This is kind of fun. Okay, let's do 737 divided by 7. Right, so let's go ahead and we're going to draw our box. So I'm going to draw the box a decent size. Have my 3 columns. Okay. I'm going to write my dividend inside the box. I'm going to write my divisor outside the box. All right, let's go ahead and see what we can do. The first thing I'm going to do is look at this 7 and look at this number, this digit. This digit is 7. Well, 7 goes into 7 one time. So I can put a 1 up here because I'm multiplying 1 times 7 gives me 7 and 0. So I still have to bring my 0 over in front of the next number. But that just shows that I don't have anything here. So now I have a 3. Well, 7 goes into 3. It can't go into 3, can that? No. So I have to put a 0. So 0 times 7 is 0. So minus 0. That leaves me with 3. Got to bring my 3 over. Okay, now I've got to think about my math facts. What times 7 gives me close to 37? Well, I know, let's see, 7 times 10 is 70. That's too much. 7 times 6 is 42, but that's over. So 7 times 5 is 35. And that looks like 35 is pretty close to 37. So it looks like I can only go in it about 5 times. So 7 goes into 37 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. 37 minus 35 is 2. So I have a remainder of 2. So my answer is 105 remainder 2. 105 remainder 2. Okay. So that's how you can solve it using this area model, this box method. Okay.